Imagine creating a drawing that stretches for several kilometers. You work on it for years. You spend thousands of hours, and yet you never see what you're creating. Not because you don't want to, but because you physically can't. That is exactly what people did more than 2,000 years ago. And we still don't know who it was for. In southern Peru, there is a desert that looks completely ordinary from the ground. Sand, stones, a flat horizon, nothing that stands out. But the moment you rise into the air, the ground changes. Giant lines appear, figures of animals, geometric shapes stretching hundreds of meters, sometimes kilometers, across the desert. A hummingbird, a monkey, a spider. They are so large and so precise that it feels as if someone designed them from above, as if whoever created them could see the entire picture at once. These images are known today as the Nazca Lines, one of the most mysterious messages humanity has ever left behind. But here's the problem. From the ground, these figures are almost impossible to recognize. You see only fragments of lines, no shape, no meaning. The full image is visible only from the sky. And that leads to a question with no easy answer. Why create something on such a massive scale if you were never meant to see it? At first glance, the Nazca Lines seem impossibly complex. But the way they were made is surprisingly simple. The desert surface is covered with dark, oxidized stones. When those stones are moved aside, a much lighter soil appears beneath. The people of Nazca didn't carve into the ground. They removed the top layer, stone by stone, step by step. No metal tools, no machines, just wooden stakes, ropes, and careful planning. Straight lines were created by placing stakes in the ground and stretching ropes between them. Curves and animal shapes were laid out piece by piece, following patterns marked on a much smaller scale. Nothing about the technique itself was advanced, and yet the result was extraordinary. Some lines stretch for several kilometers and remain almost perfectly straight. Others form animals so precise that their proportions still match modern measurements. Even more astonishing, many of these lines intersect, overlap, and cross one another without destroying older figures. Which means the creators remembered where everything was, even when they couldn't see it from above. And that raises another problem. This wasn't a single project. It wasn't made by one generation. The Nazca Lines were created over centuries. Different people, different times, different designs, all contributing to something none of them could fully observe. No written explanations were left behind, no inscriptions, no symbols explaining their purpose, just lines, endless, deliberate lines across the desert floor. And whatever their meaning was, it was important enough to preserve, even when no one could see the full picture. Over the years, many explanations have been proposed for why the Nazca Lines exist. The most widely accepted idea is that they were part of religious rituals, paths meant to be walked, not viewed. Some lines appear worn, as if people repeatedly moved along them. Ceremonial processions across the desert, perhaps meant to ask the gods for rain in one of the driest places on Earth. Another theory suggests the lines marked underground water sources, that they functioned as a vast map, guiding people to life-saving wells and aquifers hidden beneath the desert. There are also astronomical explanations, claims that certain lines align with solstices, stars, or celestial events, that the desert itself became a giant calendar. Each theory explains something, but none of them explains everything. Many lines lead nowhere. Some figures don't align with any known stars. Others cross areas with no water beneath them at all. And then there's the scale. If these were paths, why make them so large they can't be understood from the ground? If they were maps, why include animals and abstract shapes? If they were calendars, why repeat the same effort for centuries without leaving a single written explanation? What makes the Nazca Lines unsettling is not that we lack ideas, it's that every explanation feels incomplete, as if we're missing a piece of context that once made perfect sense to the people who created them. And that missing context is exactly what time has erased. All that remains are lines pressed into the desert, carefully maintained for generations, for a purpose we can only guess.